This is what I actually think about the Soundbrenner Wave IEM. Hey, welcome to Project Beats. My name is Joven. Before we dive in, help me out by hitting subscribe and drop a comment below. Big thanks to my good friend Dayan for loaning me this pair for review. Right, diving straight right in. I'm just going to talk about what I noticed because you've probably seen tons of videos about it out there. So, build and what it comes with, really thin cable that looks like dual core. I've seen $50 IEM that comes with 4-core braided cable. But this comes with a bunch of ear tips. Silicone, memory foam, at least you have that. Overall build, I guess they are okay, but if I'm honest, I've seen much better overall package at this price range. Let me talk about where it shines, and to be honest, the only place I would use it for. That is stage. That's it. TLDR, it ain't reference level. I don't know if they said it is. I would highly disagree if they say it is reference, because this is prosumer sounding at best, IMHO. But this would work well on stage, and I'll tell you why. And to reiterate, these are just my opinion and my preference. The Soundbrenner Wave have some excess bass energy, and that's sort of a good thing on stage, at least in my opinion. On stage, where there's a lot of things going on, excess bass energy is nice because you eventually lose some of that on stage, especially with universal IEMs. I think less so with custom IEM just because of the quality of the seal. Say for example, you are right beside an amp, bass amp, guitar monitors, or you are behind a kit, drum kit, especially when caged, all that ambient low end sort of cancels the low end that you hear. So it kind of evens out. Moving on, mids also work out. Again, a bit of that excess energy on the ear gain region, about 2 or 3 to 5K, almost stepping into that annoying nasally quality to my ears. But then again, on a busy stage with everything going on, that's kind of nice to have. That means you will still hear the important part of the mix. Your vocals, guitars, what have you, they will cut through. So that's good. Top end, I think, is controlled because normally cheaper drivers tend to be too harsh on the top end, but they manage to control that here. But then again, this is a dynamic driver. On or off stage, the top end works for me, and for what it is, I think it works. You can of course use it for casual listening, but to me, stage is where it's at. Now, the part I don't like is the seal of the silicone tips. Even when you shove that in your ears, it won't really give you that good isolation. So all that high frequency around you will creep into your ear and it doesn't sound good. It messes up the sound a lot, and to me it's a bit irritating. So cymbals and whatever else high frequency noise going on around you, you will hear them. Solution, you need to swap the ear tips with the memory foam tips, especially if you are behind a drum kit. But memory foam would mean you will get a little bit more low end that this bass excited IEM already has. But then again, if you're a bass head, then that's not a con, I guess. So overall quality, it is on that smiley EQ side of things. Maybe a little bit of a WEQ profile, leaning more on that bass heavy-ish consumer side of things. If you need this for stage, I would say it works. I tried it on the drums without drum mic feed. Ambient drum sound is a little bit dull, but then of course on stage you'd have a mixed monitor anyway, so that probably is a moot point. Now let me talk a little bit about offstage, purely music listening or maybe mix potential. I would say this, you have to try it and see if it works for you and for what you need. If it does, don't listen to me or anybody else. Get what you feel works for you. But if you ask me personally, I will only use it for stage. Again, as I mentioned, these are more consumer tuned, not going to be your reference level type listening. It is not neutral in any way. I did not see any chart or EQ response on their website, but it sounds decent. It's not half bad, just not that reference level of quality. There is bass resonance at times, so that can be annoying too. To me, it lacks some control on the lows and subs. Sometimes it gets a bit mushy on the low end. Sadly, typical character of a mid to low end dynamic driver, but not all dynamic drivers are like this. I like the Yucotec RE3 Pro. Those have some lush low end, sounds sophisticated for a custom dynamic driver, super lively low end, and has some clarity. And they are roughly the same price. So, Back to the Wave IEM, mids are strong on that ear gain. If you like that, then this would work for you. Just for me personally, purely music listening, I'm not a huge fan of the overall balance. Somehow lacks that pop on the vocals, snare cracks, and it's also a little bit veiled. Not really mushed, just a tad bit veiled. Also, reverb and delay tails are not that pronounced, so that's gonna be very faint here. And lastly, top end isn't harsh like some other cheap tri-fi tend to be. To my ears though, it sounds a tiny bit subdued up top. I would personally like a little bit more shimmer and air on the top end. Okay, different day. I wanted to redo this part forward. So, my honest thoughts about the Soundbrenner Wave IEM and who it's for. Based on my impression, this could be for you if you are new to stage monitoring, or if you don't want to spend too much money on stage IEMs, or if you don't have time to spend scouring AliExpress for a decent tri-fi IEM. Because it could take a lot of time, trial and error to find one that works for you. I think the Wave IEM works. There is no problem with it for stage monitoring. I would love to see better cable, ear tips if possible. But then again, price, maybe that's all they can do. But if you're a beginner, you might find these to sound impressive as well. This actually checks my most basic requirements for stage monitoring. Mids that cut and energy on the bass. That's it. You can upgrade ear tips to taste for your comfort or, slight tuning. Whether or not it will last or take a beating, I don't know. But just on sound alone, I would use it for stage. Honestly, I'm not too picky nowadays with stage IEMs. That isn't really a place to be listening on high-res music anyway. If you need more in terms of performance, fast transients, and specific curves, I think the engineers would benefit more for that. But honestly, for performers on stage, I don't think it is a necessity. I mean, most of the time, the monitor mix we get, you get what the mix engineer gives you. And to be honest, as far as my experience goes, I don't think you need bleeding edge tech for that job. There is a price point where you kind of hit diminishing returns really hard. And most of the time, that's around 500 to maybe 800 up. Maybe. I mean, you're going to go up the price range, maybe because you can or you have sponsorships. But to be honest, cheaper IEMs really gets the job done, especially with the quality nowadays. And really, it's not like you're going to listen to mastered audio up there on stage. Again, that's just me. So yeah, the Wave IEM gives you that forward mids and low end energy, which again would be nice and gives you that, feel. When you feel good with your audio, you play differently and you respond differently, right? Especially if you like, that bit of bass. If you're thinking about getting the Soundbrenner Wave IEM, and I know this is a weird plug, and I probably sound like I'm not a big fan, but if you think it's for you, don't pay retail. I got you some 20% off or somewhere around there. Link in the description. Of course, that's an affiliate link, but I don't really mind if you get it or not. It's all up to you. I know that's probably a weird way to, get people buying, but it is my honest take. If that's still too pricey for you, you may want to go AliExpress and find yourself some tri-fi IEM. As for me personally, I have just been using whatever for stage IEMs. I have a custom 64 audio A12, but I also enjoy tri-fi on stage. I'm just being honest. For stage, really, A12 I think is overkill. Again, that's just me. For the rest of you guys who know your stuff and you are looking for a particular sound quality or particular set of features, or you're really into reference level IEMs, then this will fall short for you. Maybe their Wave Pro is better, at least on paper I think it is. I'm not sure, I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, that's my honest thoughts about the Wave IEM. Get one if you think it's for you, but if you'd like to support the channel, I'd really appreciate a sub, a like, and a comment below. Thanks for watching until the end, and see you all in the next project.